Welcome to the road to 1 million US dollars, and let's get right into the Bitcoin chart for today, starting on this 1 day time frame because it is now or never for Bitcoin. Currently, we are trading right on top of this ascending line of support. So this is the time where Bitcoin will have to prove to us that we are indeed going to see a bounce off of this ascending trend line. If we end up closing a couple candles below, the best case scenario would be just chopping sideways for a bit longer and then still getting that next move to the upside. Although if we get candle closes below, guys, I don't think the most likely thing is chopping sideways and go. More likely we are getting some kind of retest of these previous highs, sitting at around 111, sitting at around 112K in the Bitcoin price. But first we would have to break down below some critical levels of support, for example, around 116K. Besides that, on this 1 day time frame, we also have a confirmed bearish divergence in the charts, which is when you have higher highs in the Bitcoin price and lower highs in the RSI momentum indicator. We now also have 3 perfect touch points with this descending trend line in the RSI. So this is now clearly in a downtrend already, even while the Bitcoin price is just trading sideways. So therefore, before we can start looking for that next big move to the upside, guys, we would need to see a break of this descending trend line first. So therefore, there are 2 things that we should be keeping an eye on right now. First of all, do we get the candle close above this ascending line of support, in which case everything is still completely fine for Bitcoin. However, if we get the candle close below, then we need to get a bit more cautious here. For example, before we get too bullish again, we need to see some kind of break of this descending trend line in the RSI, because otherwise we are just slowly trending down over time in this RSI until the Bitcoin price action gets more and more bearish as time goes on. Besides that, I've also been looking at this 2-hour time frame here because we have a descending channel on this 2-hour time frame. Currently, there is some resistance from about 118K all the way up to 119.3K. In terms of support, there is some support to the downside here at around 116.5K. However, most importantly, if we start looking further to the downside, there is a big level of support setting from 114.8 all the way down to 114K. But this is of course only on the lower time frames, because remember that on that 1 day time frame, if we're breaking down below like 116K or something like that, things will start to look extremely bearish on the 1 day time frame. So be cautious about that. For now, I think we are about a day early to give extreme warning signals here, because we need to see how we are actually closing this daily candle. However, it is a good time to start paying attention to Bitcoin. Overall, we have not confirmed a technical breakdown for Bitcoin yet, so therefore I am still targeting 126K in the Bitcoin price. But tomorrow I will be able to give you guys a clear answer of what I am exactly looking for next for Bitcoin here. Moving on to the Bitcoin liquidation heat map. First of all, on this 2-week time frame, notice how we do have a bunch of liquidity to the upside at around 120K in the Bitcoin price. However, there is also a bunch of liquidity to the downside at 114K. Right here, I would say the exact same thing. Tomorrow, I will be able to give you guys a very clear answer, because we will have seen if we are either holding above this level of support that I showed you, or if we have broken down below. So at that point, I can also give you a better idea of what the direction is going to be for the market after that. Lastly, taking a quick look at the Bitcoin ETF flow tables. Yesterday, we saw an inflow of about $150 million into the Bitcoin ETFs. Overall, this isn't having a massive upwards pressuring effect on the Bitcoin price. However, these ETFs have basically been doing nothing other than buying a lot of Bitcoin recently. So overall, their impact is still a net positive here. Either way, this has been today's market update. Make sure to tune in for tomorrow's video, because that will be a very important one to not miss. But regardless, if you do end up checking that out or not, thank you for watching once again, and I will see you tomorrow in the next one.